Hello there, sword friends. Today I'm going to start another video series, another project series on this blade right here. This is a Howard Clark L6 Katana, and it's just in Smith's polish. It's a bare blade. I don't have anything done to it yet, and that's the beginning of this series. So I have some ideas of what to do, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about the blade and all that kind of stuff. If you're unfamiliar with the video projects that I tend to do, bear in mind I don't do any of the work, so there's none of that cool montagey, hands-on making the actual stuff. I think about what to do, then I send it off to talented people who can do it, and then I get it back and blabber about it on the internet. So that's what you can expect to see. It'll probably take a couple of years to get done, but I can introduce the blade, I can tell you why I like it, I can tell you kind of the plans that I have for it, and hopefully it's interesting. This is an L6 blade by Howard Clark. The man, Howard Clark, if you're unfamiliar, is well, he's a blacksmith, a bladesmith. I believe he's an ABS mastersmith. I could be wrong about that. I'm not sure on his credentials, honestly, but I know he's a well-respected, well-regarded, and prolific smith in the realm of Japanese-style swords. So he makes them, and he makes wakizashi and tanto and all sorts of other different types of swords. And he can make one for you, and I'll link his website down below if you're so inclined to get it. I believe bare blades right now, like this one, if you were to buy one new, would be about $5,000 and probably a bit of a wait, depending on if his queue is open or not. But anyway, he makes L6 blades and 1086 blades, and those are at least the stuff that he tends to work with. I'm sure he can work with other steels, but the ones that he's most known for are the 1086 blades and L6. And the L6 stuff is, I've talked about Chinese-made L6 blades and how you don't necessarily trust that you're going to have the potential of the steel, and that's not the case when you get one from Howard. He knows how to heat treat them. He kind of is the man behind the process, or at least the best known for doing L6 heat treatments on Japanese style swords. So I have some assurances and some, well, at least some confidence that this is heat treated properly and will be the full potential of what the metal's capable of. Right now, it's not much to look at, though. It's in a Smith's polish. I don't even know if actually this is a Smith's polish from Howard Clark. It may be, or it may have, somebody might have sanded on it or tried to polish it or buff it a little bit. It's tough to say. It doesn't look exactly like what I've seen from Howard in Smith's polish before, but it's pretty close. Anyway, very obscured details, not much to see, but what I can see are that the planes in the blade are really clean and flat. Howard's got an even hand. The lines, the Shinogi G runs really cleanly, and there's very little waver. The Kisaki appears well formed, and shape-wise, I happen to really like this shape. I don't know if I can actually get it all in frame. Let me move it back up a little bit. But anyway, it's got a nice gentle curve. It's fat at the bottom and kind of tapers down a little bit towards the end. And I happen to really like the way this blade feels without anything on it, which tells me that I'm probably going to really like the way it feels when it's finished. It's also 29, a little over 29 inches, 29 1/4, I believe, measured from the kind of moonmachi down here all the way to the top of the blade, the tip of the Kisaki. And it's kind of in the territory of blades that are my size. So this might be a keeper. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know yet. They tend not to be. I end up having them done, thinking I'm going to keep them, and then not doing it. But anyway, this is an excellent looking sword. I really like the shape. I like the profile of it. It's not necessarily like a big beefy cutter, but it's also not like a dainty little light EI blade. It's somewhere in between, a pretty well-balanced blade, kind of an in-between. And it feels really good in the hand. So I'm excited to see what it feels like when it's all done up. Anyway, speaking of done up, what I will probably do with the sword first is send it off to the mystery man in black to have done. And some time ago, I acquired these very fancy fittings from Patrick Hastings. Well, again, I bought them secondhand, as I did with this blade, which isn't necessarily representative of what you'd expect to get if you buy one new. Mine has little bits of rust and imperfections and stuff like that on it from not being polished, and some buffy marks and stuff like that on it. I wouldn't expect that you would get one like that from Howard. But incidentally, if you do want to get one from Howard, I'll link his website below. Blades like this nowadays cost about $5,000, bare blade. It would probably come a little cleaner than the one that you see here, but it would probably be very similar. He's been very consistent over the years, which is a perk to me as a person that tends to buy one secondhand. So if I buy a blade that's 10 years old, made from Howard Clark's L6 heat treatment, I have some confidence that it's going to be really, really good, and that the results are consistent. He's unlike many of the other smiths that I've seen. I've had blades from him that are very, very old and some that are pretty new, and he's been very consistent in the way he manufactures things for a very long time. The shape has consistently been good. There's a lot of things that he's done well over time, as opposed to some folks tend to, if you get their earlier stuff, it shows that it's earlier, and if you get their later stuff, there's a lot more refinement in it. And Howard I'm not trying to say he hasn't grown or evolved as a smith. I'm sure he has, but as a person that owns his products, they've been consistent for a number of years, and there's not a lot of variation in them, frankly. They're all really top-notch, quite good, kind of straight away. So it's, again, as a person that buys one secondhand, it's cool that I can buy one that I don't really have to worry about how old it is and think about how much better a newer one might be. I'm sure the newer ones could be better, especially since you can order them to fit your exact needs and size, but I digress. The point is, he's done a very good job for a very, very long time, and that makes me very confident in buying one secondhand that is not bespoke to me necessarily. Fittings-wise, though, I have these fittings from Patrick Hastings. I did a video on them some time ago, and it's this cool inlaid silver mushroom kind of bog looking stuff, and it's a copper piece with a raised rim and then some inlay in here, and he's done an excellent job. They're very detailed fittings, and there's matching copper habaki, fujikashira, and no, not a habaki, a fujikashira and a kojiri at the end that have the similar kind of rokusho style patina, meaning that it's in this kind of brownish color here. Only the Suba has some inlay on it, so it's the most ornate and detailed of the pieces. The other bits, which I have here, don't really have a whole lot of character to them other than shape and being well made. They are simple copper pieces with kind of a handmade-y, I don't know, hammered type finish on them. I'm not sure exactly what you'd call it, but anyway, it'll make a handsome looking sword. And I've waited for a project that had that deserved the fittings, because they're pretty expensive fittings if I were to have them made today. I don't know if Patrick Hastings is still making fittings, but he was a very talented person that could make fittings when he did, and these have some decorative inlay on them, and I've needed a project that deserved them, I guess. And so this blade is an excellent candidate for that. Unfortunately, they're not bedazzled with swirly mitsudomes all over the place, which means I have a tough choice to make, because I really like the sword, but if it's a keeper for me, of course I want swirly mitsudomes all over it. And if it's not, then these fittings are a little bit more warranting than any of the other fittings that I have, even the ones with swirly mitsudomes on them. So I'm probably going to go with these just because they fit the blade, and I think the Mystery Man in Black has a pretty cool theme that could go with it, and it's going to make an interesting project, and I'm more inclined to, I think, go that direction. But first step is send sword and fittings off to Mystery Man in Black. He's going to make the handle and the scabbard and put it all together so it's basically a sword but not shiny. From there, I'm going to send this off to Josiah Boomershine. I'll link him down below. He's done a number of polishes for me. I've always been very happy with his work and his turnaround, and he's going to polish this on lots of different rocks until it's shiny and pretty and sharp. And then when it's all done, they'll send it back to me, and I will have a finished sword to show you. I'm not sure what stage it will go in. Everyone is really busy right now as well, so it's tough to get a spot in people's queues. But eventually, this will get done. I'm not sure if it will evolve or change over time. By the time I get a chance to actually send it off and have it done, I may have a very elaborate set of swirly mitsudome fittings to use. So it could change, but anyway, that's my tentative plan. Anyway, cool looking sword. I hope the project and all of that is interesting. If you have any questions, throw it in the commentary down below and I will try to answer it. That's all I've got for this video. Cheers, and thanks for watching.